Hey YouTube, WizKid Gaming, back at you, another episode.
Yo, what's poppin'? Seabass back in the house.
With my boy Seabass today, we're going to take a look at the Magic of Dragonknight for a PVP build. Alright, I'm going to break it down, we'll look at the gear, the skills, and then I'll show you guys my character screen real quick too. So this is entirely unbuffed right now, that's what we're looking at. Almost 40k max magicka. 1857 spell damage, 38.8% spell crit, 1779 magic recovery. Spell and physical resistance, they are what they are, unbuffed. You know, obviously when you pop Mage Resolve, those are going to go up. So let's take a look at the skills now. On the front bar, Burning Embers. This is a very large damage over time ability. That also heals you for 75% of the damage inflicted when the effect ends. Now, you don't have to just let this thing expire. You'll see here it's lasting 19 seconds. That's because of the gear I'm wearing. But you can pop it after 4 seconds, and then, you know, it may have only done like 6,000 damage at that point in time, so only heal you for 75% of 6,000 damage. You know, versus if you let it run the entire 19 seconds, you're looking at something like a little over 22,000 damage. 75% of 22,000 damage is a sizable heal, even in PvP. Next up on the bar, Fossilize. This is probably the best CC in the game. It stuns them for 3 seconds, then when the stun ends, they're immobilized for another 3 seconds. So it's a double CC here. Fantastic move. Staple of the Magic of Dragonknight. This is what makes Magic of Dragonknight feasible in PvP. I run it here light the front bar sometimes. I'm back and forth on it. For having it slotted, you get, it says 5% max magicka, but with the passes on the skill line for the Mages Guild, pull it up real quick. There it is. So for each Mages Guild ability you have slotted, you get 2% max magicka and 2% magic recovery for each ability slotted. So it actually comes up to be 7% max magicka, 2% magic recovery, and you know, a good amount of spell crit right there. I think something like 10% spell crit. So it's pretty good amount of buff to your guy. There's other abilities to use in its place. I'm back and forth whether to have it slotted on my bar or not. Next up, I'm playing around with Engulfing Flame. So Engulfing Flame is another dot. It says it lasts 19 seconds once again, because that's because of the gear selection I have on. What makes Engulfing Flame so good, aside from the dot, is the affected enemies take more damage from all flame abilities attacks based on your offensive stats with the maximum of 10% bonus damage taken. Right now it's 9% more damage. So basically if they're hit by this, they're going to start taking 9% more flame damage, which means that this is going to start doing more flame damage to them. My flame leash, or lash, excuse me, which is up next, is going to do 9% more damage to them. So the lash does damage every time it hits. Plus, if a target's off balance or immobilized, this ability turns into Power Lash, allowing you to lash an enemy at half the cost to deal even more damage. And it heals you for 12,603 damage over 2 seconds. This ability is great because this ability, Fossilize, immobilizes the enemy. So when they're immobilized, you hit them with this, and all of a sudden you're doing even more damage and you're healing yourself. The single gap closer that the Magic of Dragonknight has is Take Flight. Does a good amount of damage, 16,000 damage. Once again, it's a gap closer. You basically fly on top of them. You just land on them, smoke them. It knocks them back, and it stuns them for 2 seconds. It's a really great ability to have. Back bar here, Volatile Armor. So this is where you get your Major Resolve from, which increases your physical and spell resistance by almost 6,000. When you pop it, you release a spray of spikes, I guess they are, that deal 10,206 magic damage over 10 seconds. And then while active, the armor returns 1,456 magic damage to the enemy. You're going to see a trend here. Everything is damage over time. There's a lot of damage over time that the Magic of Dragonknight applies to the enemy. Next up, Degeneration. Once again, it's another dot. It's 14,889 magic damage over 12 seconds. In addition to that, and the main reason why you run it is this is your source of major sorcery, increasing your spell damage by 20% for 24 seconds. Again, I have Interlight in the back bar. It's a flexibility, playing around with it. Next up, Coagulating Blood. You draw on your Draconic Blood to heal for 8,185, increasing up to 33%, based on the amount of missing health. It also grants you Major Fortitude, increasing your healing, or excuse me, your health carry by 40% for 20 seconds. This is your spammable heal on your back bar. So on your Magic Dragonknight, you have 3 heals. You have your Coagulating Blood. You have your Burning Embers, which heals you for 75% of the damage done. And then you have your Flame Lash, which heals you for a sizable amount of damage, or sizable amount of health when you hit someone who is immobilized. So those 3 in combination. Last ability here is Talons. This ability also immobilizes the enemy. It also does damage up front and applies a very large dot. Due to the gear setup I'm using, that dot lasts over 9 seconds, which is fantastic. Just on CC. Back bar, ultimate. Once again, this is just no flex. It's really up to you what you want to do. I have Shooting Star that does, a good amount of flame damage up front, and it knocks them down. And then while they stand in the AoE that lays down, they take 4,400 flame damage every 1 second, and it lasts for 19 seconds. And then lastly, you generate 12 ultimate for each enemy hit. So those are the skills I'm using. There's definitely some flex skills that you can pick up to trade out. Once again, you need to be picking up the passives here. Your Undaunted passives are critical, just like anything else in the game. Continuous attack is great for when you're in PvP and you're hitting resources or keeps. So let's break into the gear now. Trying a new gear set out as well. So as you heard, I was talking about Elfbane. This is the set that increases the duration of your flame damage over time abilities by 5 seconds. That's the 5 piece of it. So all my flame dots, last 5 seconds longer. In addition to that, 2 is Max Magicka, 3 pieces spell damage, 4 pieces spell damage. Pretty good set. Got Elfbane on the back bar as well. The monster set I'm running right now is Engine Guardian. The reason I run Engine Guardian right now is the sheer amount of resources it provides me with. Engine Guardian recently got a buff 6 months, maybe a year ago. So it ticks for a little bit more now. It's really great because as a Magicka user, you struggle with stamina. It's a great way to get stamina back. Also, if you happen to get the Dwemer that heals you, it's no source of healing to you. And if you get the one that gives you Magicka, there's nothing wrong with more Magicka. It's just an all-around great sustain set that I've been using as of recent. The third piece, the third set I'm using, excuse me, is Burning Spell Weave. Burning Spell Weave is damage. This is what it is. Max Magicka, spell damage, 4 pieces crit, 5 piece. When you deal damage to the flame ability, you apply the burning stats effect to the enemy and increase your spell damage by 490 for 8 seconds. Occur once every 12 seconds. It's 490 spell damage. It's a lot of damage. So that's why my character screen may look like I don't have a whole lot of spell damage, but that's because Burning Spell Weave hasn't been popped. And, Elfbane, it's the 5 piece isn't weapon damage or spell damage. It's, increasing the damage over time by 5 seconds. So that's a look at my Magicka Dragonknight. Do up a couple of buffs real quick. There it is, guys. Almost 25,000 spell resistance, 17.5 physical resistance. Thanks, YouTube.